Thank you so much for coming today and joining us. Today's session is going to be all about the Scholastic Art and Writing Competition. I know a lot of you guys might have a lot of questions on how to prepare for it. How does it start? What do I do to begin? And different like general questions. So we're going to try to go over as much as we can with you today. Unfortunately, though, we were originally going to have a guest speaker today. We were going to be joined by Azul, who is a manager at the California College of the Arts, and she oversees the Scholastic Awards for the West Coast. But unfortunately, due to emergencies, she was not able to come today. Our plan moving forward is going to be to still like continue, give you guys as much information as we can. And we'll have her do a recording and we will email it to everybody who has registered for this event. So we'll definitely need to collect those information from you, but we will get back to you guys as soon as we can. We're really sorry about this last minute. Um, this last minute emergency, yes. Okay, but let us begin. All right, so this is just kind of an agenda of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be talking about the overview, and then we'll do some case studies with you guys. We're going to do stories from award-winning students, definitely some Calcolor achievements, like how we help students win and how we can better support our students. We're going to do a really quick, frequently asked questions, and then we'll do introduction to CCA and Calcolor. So be a little bit of an intro for you guys. So that's it for today's agenda. So like I said earlier, we will not be joined by our guest speaker, Miss Azul. Unfortunately, like I said, there was extenuating circumstances. She will not be able to join us today. But we will be doing a recording of her section. So hopefully that will like give you guys a good idea of what information she has. My name is Miss Christy. I am the San Jose site manager and I also team teacher. I will be hosting this event today with you guys. We'll also be joined today by Miss Michelle, our digital program manager, and Mr. Alvin, who's also our team program manager. All right, so this is just the overview we're going to go over. So unfortunately, this one will be Miss Azul's area. I'm just gonna kind of go over her slides and just read it to you, but if you guys have any questions, I will definitely notate them and then we can ask her on our own time and try to get back to you guys about these like popular questions. Okay, so what are the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards? The Scholastic Art and Writing is honestly the most prestigious largest recognition program that we have. It's really cool. It's 7 to 12. So you have to be 13 in order to compete in this competition. And there's like over 100,000 students across America that's going to be, and Canada actually, that's going to be submitting their work. So this is like a massive amount of kids. So to be able to be recognized, even regionally, is a really big deal. So even if you don't get into a national rank, that's still really like it's super competitive. So it's crazy. This opened up in October of the submissions opened up October of 2025, and the deadline for submission is going to be January 6th of 2026. So we've already started preparing our Calcolor students and started doing like concept design. So if you are in any of our teen classes, then you've definitely already started on brainstorming concepts for this piece. Alrighty. So, what are some advantages and for our participants? So, obviously, there's going to be the main one, which is the national recognition. It's crazy, right? If you get an award, and then you are applying for colleges, this is going to be really attractive to them. And any creative programs are definitely going to recognize any awards that says like Scholastic Art and Writing, right? And also, we try to submit the best of the best works to this competition. So as we're building pieces for this competition, we're also building a really strong portfolio. We're going to be building art, like award-winning works to get showcased in galleries, online exhibitions, featured anthropologies, like helping students build a really strong portfolio is really important. And then there's also scholarship opportunities, which is honestly the main reason why a lot of our students apply for this. Um, there's going to be like the monetary wins, of course, but also they do provide scholarships for college, and pre-college. All right. I just wanted to share some of the winners from previous years. So, or I think this was just from last season. So let's see. Everybody can see my screen still. Awesome. Okay. So we'll just kind of like scroll through some of the more uh popular here, sorry. All right, so you can see a lot of the pieces that are winning here have some sort of like concept design, some sort of like background idea. They're really hitting like hot topics like screen time, the rise of AI, a lot of them are like political views, like religious review beliefs, personal beliefs, personal stories. A lot of these topics are also hitting things like environmental issues, um, uh, you know, uh, animal rights, like this one right here. But it's really cool to see like students start to develop their own vision, their own voice at such a young age. It's pretty incredible. So a lot of these, I'm looking at them right now, and they all have very strong technical pieces, but they also have really strong like um, conceptual things. And these are all only just the silver medals. So you can feel free on your own time to also scroll through. Maybe we can put the uh, address, the link on chat so you guys can see it too on your own time. We have the painting, which is also a very popular category to submit. Yeah, I'm so impressed. Like every time I look at this and then it's just a silver award, I'm like, wow. So if actually you have to like really scroll through, there's about 20 pages until you hit the gold pieces, which are like 10 pages in. Let me see here. So you can get some gold pieces showing as well. This is still silver.
While Christy sharing the winning piece right here, I want to introduce for Scholastic. They have like a 17 category to cover all like different mediums for the art. And for this competition, you don't need to worry about too much about like a theme. It's very open on the theme side and material wise. Yeah, so no matter you're good at like a comic, you are interested in something like a more 3D piece, yeah, you can all find a catalog to submit it.
Yeah, alrighty. Let's kind of go back into the so this is the inside. We don't exactly have this next information, but I think we can go a little over the criteria that the judges are looking for so you guys can have baseline information. These are the three main categories that they're going to try to hit when they're looking at each piece. The first one's obviously going to be originality, right? We don't want any students copying off of other artists or other pieces of work. And they want to see something that's new, something that's never been done, something that's like innovative, right? Work that challenges conventions, blurs boundaries, or shifts notions on particular concept or emotion. This is actually a very hard thing to do too, because um, it's coming up with an original idea is very difficult. We see so many things. We're exposed to so much like culture and social media. So I think being able to help our students and guide our students to conceptualize something new is definitely a very fun challenge. So skill, working on technical stuff to advance either the perspective or personal vision or voice, including the creativity, the critical thinking, the problem solving, composition, and conceptual development. And empathy in addition to technical craftsmanship. So it's not just skill in like the technical aspect of the pieces, but it's also skill in just the compositional side of it or the conceptual side of it or the problem side of it. If you have like a concept based off of AI, or you have a concept based off of like social media or screen time or whatever it is that you got to do, you need to have like a stance, a voice. It has to be saying something, and it's a skill to be able to convey what you want to say on paper. So when people look at your artwork, like, can they tell what you're trying to say? I think that's a really important skill. And then the next one is emergence of personal voice and vision. So working on an authentic and unique point of view and style, art that expresses a teen's voice or vision will stand out. Definitely style is going to be really interesting and to see like their hand in their work. And so this is something that we want to make sure it looks attractive to the judges as well. Alrighty. So these are some important things to keep in mind. One of the most important thing is copyright and plagiarism, which is something we definitely talk about in our teen classes when we're preparing for a Scholastic competition. So, common copyright and plagiarism violations include fan art, portraits of actors, musicians, or celebrities, and reproductions or near copies of work by another artist. Sometimes we get inspired by art, but I think there's a difference between inspiration and plagiarism, and sometimes it can be a fine line. So definitely consulting with your teachers to make sure that you're making the appropriate decisions when you're looking at inspiration. And of course, the use of AI tools. So the Scholastic Art Awards do not permit and will deem it ineligible any entered work from which the final product is itself AI generated. I mean, this was never an issue before, but I think with the rise of AI, students could potentially generate their own pieces from AI and then submit that. And we want to make sure that all our works, like we said, are original, right? They have that originality, and we're putting our own hand and our own skill into our work. Um, Alrighty, so this is the judging process. Azul kind of wrote some notes in for us, but definitely we will have her speak more on this, and we will be having that recorded video for you guys. So, what does the adjunction process look like? How are they judging all of these pieces? So they have a jury that's comprised of the California College of Arts faculty with backgrounds in all contest categories. So the painting, drawing, ceramics, digital, all of that stuff. And then each panel has three judges and one facilitator. And then adjunctions happen across multiple days, depending on volume of work submitted. So it's not something that's like a quick decision. They are really taking their time to finalize these pieces. Apparently, last year they facilitated 19 3-hour panels across 8 days with the support of over 30 judges covering over 7,000 works. Wow, that is very impressive. And judging is completely blank, no name, age, or gender. Okay, that's good so that they cannot see, any of the children's information. And then works are judged by category, of course, which makes sense. All right, so these are the case studies that she was going to go over with you guys. So we can just kind of go over her notes really quickly. So this piece right here is by an 11th grader named Jamias Vu, Jane Liu. She was a gold key winner, gold medal winner, and American Vision Award winner. So we're not going to read her whole statement, but we did kind of want to share the statements with you guys. So maybe Mr. Alvin, if you can like copy paste the text into chat so that everybody can read it on their own pace. We did want to share with you guys the writing aspect, the description, because it does play a role into the consideration in the winnings. So when judges read it, how are they like, um, reading the artwork? How are they like uh, perceiving the artwork? Things like that. It's really important. So maybe we can get that into the chat. Thank you. The next one is A Fleeting Moment, and this piece also won Gold Key and American Vision Award. So this one is a charcoal drawing. She said it's a charcoal drawing of my mother using blue paper for mid-tone. My mother is tying blue and white balloons together for my eighth grade graduation. She smiles when I approach her for a photo as she is embarrassed. The title refers to how the moment was fleeting, like a butterfly that is flying away. So I briefly captured it with my insect net. So I briefly captured it with my insect net. Now it will be a memory that I can showcase, akin to a butterfly that is on display for the world to see. Yeah, so each student is going to write their own description, and then that kind of helps give the judges a little bit more information on context clues on like what the meaning of the piece is. All right, this one is The Forest of Purity and its intersection. 11th grade, Gold Key winner, and also American Vision Award nominee. And then maybe we can also put these descriptions into the chat.
Yep. And then in Azu's recording, she will talk about a bit more about American Voice nomination. So if some students wanna like challenge yourself for that, and we'll share more information in the following maybe email. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think she just wants to compare like the three pieces and show how the three pieces hit the three categories that the judges are looking for, which we talked about. The first one was originality, skill, and then personal voice. So you can see all three pieces challenge the viewer's expectations. And then within the skill, all of them obviously demonstrate like, really good technical skill with compelling compositions and that support their theme and message. And then the last one is personal voice. And they definitely have like a unique voice. I want everyone to take the time to read the descriptions in the chat so you guys can see how their personal voice is being put into a visual illustration. Alrighty. Okay, so yeah, so you can see here, I think she wanted to show kind of like what judges are looking for more in detail. So this piece right here, it's going to obviously demonstrate technical skill, but it lacks personal voice, right? It looks more like a study. So when we see this kind of piece, we're thinking like it's more of like to practice technical skill, but it doesn't really say anything about the artist. It doesn't really say anything about like a concept or theme. So these are notes from the judges, right? Although this is well rendered, perhaps the subject matter could be more original and could show more of the artist's voice. It's just like what I just said. Would love to see the artist push this work beyond a rudimentary study to show a specific POV or convey a more complex idea or viewpoint. Would love to see the artists push the medium, add color, or combine different materials in the work line details and the variation in brushstrokes. Perhaps use a smaller dry brush technique in addition to wet on wet. So this is one of the pieces that was submitted, but it wasn't selected as a win. So this is another one of those examples. So this piece has great composition, but it lacks technical skill and originality. So these are just notes from the judges. This painting feels unfinished. Many areas appear to be part of the original sketch and have not been painted. Would love to see the color palette push beyond the colors straight from the tube. Yes. and subject matter lacks excitement and or originality. Yeah, it's not really saying anything. It's just like a really nice landscape, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't really like provoke a reaction. It doesn't really provoke any thoughts, a discussion. There's not that critical thinking that we had talked about earlier, that critical and creative thinking that we're trying to push, right? So I think, but it's a beautiful painting nonetheless. All right, so this is the next one. This piece is, it shows a unique point of view, but lacks the skill and technique to make the concept message clear. Yes. Okay. So these are notes from the judges. Would like to see ideas, concepts conveyed more clearly in this piece. Bolder colors and or shapes in the background would balance out the composition. The foreground and background need to work together as a whole currently. The subject feels like a cutout shape and lacks integration with the rest of the collage. Yeah, you're definitely gonna see like it's painted really beautifully, but you can tell that the background doesn't have any like it's not really connected with the foreground. It kind of just feels like a random thing placed on the back. And I think that's why it's hard to tell like what the concept or message is when you see this piece. It's just like someone eating something, maybe a snack after, you know, going on a bike ride, but it's not really clear why or why they made these decisions. Yeah. All right, so these are stories from our award-winning students. So we are going to be joined by three different guests, and we're really excited to have this section in today's seminar. So we're going to be joined today by Lotus. She's a freshman at the University of Washington. And we're also going to be joined by Teresa, and she is a 10th grader at Harker. And our last one is actually going to be recording that we're going to show you guys later. Fortunately, Jada was not able to join us today, but she's an 8th grader at Basis. So, all right, we're going to get started. Oh, actually, we're going to start with Jada's video first. So let me go ahead and hit the link for you guys, and then I can have it play.
Hi everyone, my name is Jada, and today I'm going to share my art journey with you, including what inspires me, what I've learned, and where I hope to go next. So, for introductions, I'm 13 years old and I'm a student at Basis Independent Silicon Valley here in San Jose. Outside of academics and art, I do fencing and I have a hamster and a dog. I've been taking classes at Calcolor since 2018. My journey at Calcolor started back in 2018, like I said, when I was around 7 years old. It's been a really long and rewarding path for me. I began in exploration class, which was all about discovering the basics and just having fun with art. Over the years, I progressed through the program. In 2020, I moved into Elite Foundation and Advancement class with Mr. Alvin, where I learned to let my creativity bloom. From 2023 to 2024, I took PD prep drawing with Miss Rain. This was when I started focusing on my style, which I'll explain soon. Now I'm in PD painting where I'm learning under Mr. Tan and Mr. Chow. Now, this brings me to what I like to create. My art isn't just about drawing what I see, but it's also about expressing what I feel and what I observe in this world. My art primarily revolves around social issues, including topics such as academic pressure, personal freedom, and climate change. To tackle these big themes, I found that straightforward representation isn't always enough. I love using symbolism and color to represent themes or emotions, adding depth to the meanings. For example, I might use a cage to symbolize feeling trapped by expectations, or a specific color palette like cool muted blues to convey a sense of sadness and isolation. The colors and objects can be clues to deeper messages in my drawings. A piece that really represents all these elements that I learned together for me was the one I submitted to the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. This piece earned a National Gold Medal and a Best in Grade award. It's a drawing created with colored pencils. The composition is a close-up portrait of a girl's face with silhouettes in a background. The piece deals with the topic of abuse and child neglect. The main takeaway is the statement that I really like. Every child deserves a parent, but not all parents deserve children. So for me, receiving a gold medal was really an honor. It was a moment that validated all the hard work I put into my art career and gave me the confidence and motivation to keep pushing my artistic boundaries. So of course, this journey hasn't been without its challenges. One of the biggest one for me was time management. Balancing academics at my school, fencing practice, and finding enough time to dedicate to my art has been a real struggle for me. It forced me to become more disciplined and to really value the time I do have to create. Another challenge was also learning to think more innovatively. Coming up with original concepts for these complex themes was difficult at first, but with the guidance of my teachers, I was introduced to new ways of thinking. They pushed me to my limit of just beyond drawing an object, but also instead asking myself, what colors anxiety? Or how can I show pressure without literally drawing a weight? This shift in thinking really helped me develop my style. So, what's next for me? I'm currently exploring more mediums beyond my trusted colored pencils, including oil painting. I also plan to continue diving deeper into my use of color to find even more ways to express complex emotions and meanings in my work. So, through all of this, I've learned some lessons that I think can help any artist out. So, I like to share three pieces of advice. First of all, details aren't everything. It's so easy to get caught up in perfecting one small part of the drawing. But if the overall composition and structure aren't strong, the artwork will most likely fall apart, and the details won't always be able to be there to save it. Always focus on the big picture first before moving on to smaller details. Second, create for yourself. It's important to listen to your instructors and learn the techniques they teach. But at the end of the day, your own passion and your own voice should be the driving force behind your art. Make art that means something to you. If you put no heart into your art, then maybe the viewers that look at your drawings can maybe even tell that, oh, there's no real meaning in this art piece. I can't really feel the feelings that are supposed to be inside this. And finally, failing is okay. That's the most important advice that I think I should have known before. So don't be afraid to make bad artwork. Feel free to explore new ideas. Every artist at every level creates pieces that don't work out. It's an essential piece of the learning process. Each so-called failure teaches you something valuable for the next piece that you might create. And who knows, maybe it'll be even better. Now, to wrap up, my art is my way of exploring and commenting on the world around me. It's a journey of learning to manage my time, think symbolically, and to not be afraid of challenges. Now, thank you guys for listening.
That was so wonderful. I'm so happy that we were able to hear Jada's words of wisdom through the recording. Our next speaker is going to be one of our students as well. Let's see right here. Our next speaker is going to be Lotus.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Lotus. I'll share a screen in a brief moment after this is.
All right, let me pull my screen down.
Okay, here we go. Let me move this around. Okay. Let me start from the beginning. Okay. Okay, so a little bit more about me. Hi everyone, my name is Lotus Wu, and I'm currently a college freshman at the Foster School of Business here at the University of Washington, and I'm also a direct admit. If you guys don't know anything about what a direct admit is, Foster has a standard admit and a direct admit. So direct admit means that I got in ready to foster during my freshman year or like my when I applied to the University of Washington. And a little bit more about me outside of academics and just everything that I do in school. I really enjoyed dancing. I really enjoyed digital art, as well as picking up my new passion for graphic design. And I really also love spending time with my friends and my family. And a little bit more about my art journey. I've been doing art since basically the beginning of time. I started with traditional art, trying to learning sketching, painting, but then later on over COVID, when everything started going more digital, that's when I found a passion for digital art. And then I started first with Photoshop, and then I moved on to creating with my iPad, and now I use Procreate mainly as my main form of art. And then after that, now that I've moved to college and found my passion with business, I've been really leaning more and exploring more into graphic design. So here are the two artworks I decided to showcase today, and I've done Scholastic every year of my high school journey. I think honestly, starting from eighth grade, I might have done it, but these are the two that I decided to showcase today. The first being Puppeteer, and this gave me a gold key, and I think I submitted it for the digital painting category. And then my second piece is called Impurities. I received a silver key, and this was also digital painting category. So here's my inspiration for Puppeteer. This piece was very tied to my personal experience of growing up in the Bay Area and having parents and having Asian parents, and I'm sure a lot of you guys relate to this. So as I said, it's very connected to personal experience, and I had a lot of issues with my life kind of being controlled, and a lot of decisions were being made for me in my life, especially with academics and the pressure to kind of conform to what everyone else thought success was like it defined as. So I really felt that my life was really controlled and I had no autonomy over what I wanted to do or what my passions were as a person. Especially during high school, there was a lot of pressure to get into a good college. If any of you guys know, I went to Monte Vista High School, and the culture there is just very toxic. Everyone is trying to get into a better college than you, and you get wrapped up in this cycle of repetition and kind of just control and peer pressure from everyone else. So I kind of felt that every single one of my moves was being watched. So from there, my process was gathering some reference pictures. I really like using Pinterest. That's something that I would advise all of you to do. Pinterest has a lot of great artworks, but it also has a lot of great reference pictures, like people with portraits. So you can take directly from that to also not only study for your artworks, but also find lighting inspiration and just overall creativity inspiration. So these are the three pictures at the bottom, kind of showcase some of the pictures I gathered when I was creating this artwork. And these are kind of the things that I saved in my Pinterest board. And then on the right side, you can see my artwork, and you can see how all of these elements and my storytelling, as well as something that I really wanted to create, came together to be one cohesive artwork. Now moving on to my artwork that's called Impurities. This was not directly inspired by me, but as you guys know, I am a dancer, so I was kind of exposed to it through different friends as well as things online. So this was inspired by the toxic dance community and environment that it still goes on today. A lot of dance communities are very toxic, and a lot of the teachers will kind of degrade their students in order to maintain this superiority complex. And I feel like it wasn't talked about enough in the media. So that's why I decided to create this piece. And as I said, it's not directly from personal experiences, but it did include some personal touches of kind of insecurity that I had growing up. So I kind of just wanted to capture the truth behind that. And on the bottom, you can see two pictures that I gathered for inspiration. I knew I wanted to do something with hands, but that's when I reached out to Pinterest and I kind of gathered what other people were doing and taking some pictures from there. And then, yeah, on the right, that's the artwork that I created for this piece. And here I'm talking a little bit more about how my process of creating each of these pieces, as well as how Calcolor really, really helped me in creating all of my artwork and also my journey with art. So as I said before, I am primarily focused on digital art. So I use Procreate, an Apple Pencil, and an Apple iPad. And my first step is always drawing thumbnails, just getting all the ideas that I have in my head onto paper. And that's very important for anyone who really doesn't know how to approach starting the artwork. I think drawing thumbnails where it's low pressure, you're not really trying to focus on anything that's too important is really great. So draw as many thumbnails as you can because you never know like what ideas could come back to you later. Maybe if you want to switch the composition, then you can go back and refer to your thumbnails and see what other ideas you kind of had when you were creating this initial piece. And then I moved on to finding my reference pictures and taking reference pictures. For me, it was a combination of looking for pictures online, but a lot of the main things, since I was drawing myself as the main character, I would take pictures of myself or have my family members take pictures of myself. And funny thing is that like I would always forget to take my reference pictures. So a lot of my reference pictures were taken within Calcolor, just like in the classroom or in the bathroom by myself. And then after that, I would go into my sketching process, just like figuring out, just that's like focusing on the technical part. And then after many, many revisions and final touches, then after that, I was ready to submit. And some advice I would give to you is that like reference images are really hard to take ourselves, as I said before, and you should try out different angles and lighting, and you should take more than you think. So I think for each of my pictures, I would take at least 50 to 60 reference pictures. And I know that like that sounds like a lot, but when you have different angles and lightings, you can see in real time what looks better and what doesn't. And don't be afraid to ask your friends and family to help you with that part. Another key kind of like idea that I really want to push to you guys is to stay motivated. I think it's really important to remember that art is a passion that you have and that it's an amazing ability and talent that you have and you shouldn't take it for granted. I think for me, especially when everything kind of got busy around junior year, senior year when I was applying to college, a lot of my passion for art kind of started falling away, and that's when I lost motivation to continue my journey with art. So I think you guys should all just think of art as something that's really fun and that you really enjoy doing. And if you feel like you're only doing art to get the benefits of getting into college or getting the benefits of adding this as another extracurricular on your college application, then you maybe should reconsider why you're doing art and why you want to pursue art as a passion. And talking a little bit more about how Calcolor really helped me, I think all of my teachers guided me through the whole process. Like there wasn't any part of the process where I felt like I wasn't supported. Mr. Alvin really truly helped me a lot. He was there every step of the way. And even outside of the classroom, whether it was like late night or early morning, if I shoot him an email, if I send him a text message asking about my artwork, he would respond immediately. He would be so helpful. And he also really helped me plan out my time. So every time I would be assigned a new or like I would start a new project, all the timelines would be mapped out for me. So I wouldn't have to worry about um, like figuring out what I have to finish by this week or next week. And it was really just genuinely great. And all the teachers genuinely want to see you succeed. I think all of our Calcolor teachers are so supportive in every step of the way. And all of them genuinely like the win is like not only for you, but also for the teachers. Like the teachers will feel so happy for you, whether you win or you not, or you don't win. Like such a supportive environment. I think it's a great place to be around, especially if you're starting this process with art. So what I learned, just these are just overall learnings. Be persistent. I kind of touched on this earlier, but you get out of the process what you put into it. So if you're putting in the effort, if you're putting in these hours to create your artwork, then you'll get out of what you put in. So if you're really trying to strive for the win, I feel like it's possible to win. Like if you are really, really putting in the effort, you definitely can get something out of it. And I think another thing to touch on is that art is so subjective and everyone has different perspectives on art. So you shouldn't be afraid to try to be different and to try any of your ideas out. So if you have an idea, you could go ahead and execute it. And for me, I realized that every year in which I applied, the judges are expecting different things. And it varies so much. Like one judge could prefer something else and another judge could prefer something else. So you really just have to submit as many pieces as you can and then hope for the best. So when it goes to the judges, it's not in your hands anymore and you can't really control what they think, but you just have to try your best. And I think the Scholastic process really pushed me to approach projects with many different perspectives, like within art and also with like outside of art, especially in business. Like I think my background and experience with art pushes me to provide different perspectives, especially when it comes to group projects or even just working on my solo projects. And I think overall, Scholastic has really helped me improve my resilience as well as stress management. Whenever Scholastic is always due around December-ish, and I know for a lot of high schoolers, that's when the peak of their busyness is coming from. There's finals, there's Scholastic, obviously. If you're doing any sports, maybe that's your like last showcase. For me, I know I had dance, so that was always my showcase area. So there was just a lot of things happening. And although it was really stressful, I think it really helped me learn. And now that I'm in college, I think it's definitely paid off. And now I'm able to manage my stress a lot better because I had Scholastic on top of everything else. And the last thing I want to say is that the process is the biggest reward. And just because you're in this to win an award, even if you don't get an award, I think just by going through this process, you learn so much about yourself and also about art in general. So the lessons and skills you build are 100% worth your time and effort. So now just the last part, a little bit more about how art has really helped me in business. And I know a lot of you guys are curious about how art can be applied to other careers that are not just going into art school. So for me, I'm really passionate about business. And as you can see on a few of the examples on the right, graphic design to me came really naturally. And that's kind of my merge between art and business. I feel like that's the perfect intersection. So you can see that I created like a flyer for my spring workshop for my dance team. A lot of composition is involved, a lot of leading lines, a lot of just different art elements from art that I applied to graphic design. And then currently at the University of Washington, I'm in a consulting club it's abbreviated for UWCA. It's the best consulting club at the University of Washington. And currently we build a lot of things like pitch decks. So when you're presenting to these companies, the slides are the most important part. You need to make a visually compelling slide. And another thing is that it can't be too text heavy and it can't be too packed. So that's when my art experience kind of really came in handy. I was really able to create really exciting graphics that didn't feel very boring, and every slide was different in its own way. And composition and learning about art really helped me a lot with that. And it made me stand out, especially when I was applying to these clubs. I could bring a new perspective, bring my art perspective into it. And as I was saying before, art can branch out into so many other possibilities. So just because you're not trying to do art in college doesn't mean that you shouldn't be pursuing Scholastic and be pursuing art. And you learn so much more than just art skills, as I said. And some of my last pieces of advice, just in general for Scholastic, is to submit as many pieces as you can to these artworks. As I said before, you never know what the judges will like. So if you have an art piece, even if it's just like a study or a sketch that you did, why not? If you want to submit it, you can. There's nothing wrong with submitting and putting as many chances as you can out there. And another thing I will say that's a little bit more technical is that the title and descriptions are pretty important, and you can use it to your advantage. So your title can be very eye-catching, and the judges, like, they will see the title as soon as they open your artwork. So the title, if you're making it very eye-catching and it's like a flashy title, then the judges will be more intrigued to look at your artwork. And for the description, you can really like take that time to describe what emotions and what kind of concepts you're putting into your artwork. And sometimes they read it, sometimes they don't, but a lot of them will skim through it. And if you have really insightful points that you're putting in the description, it will help boost your artwork a little bit. And the last thing is just to put yourself out there, be confident with everything you're doing. And you guys, I know you guys are all very talented, so I think you guys can all do it. And you guys are all in for the best ride of your life, and it'll help you so much just throughout life, throughout your career, whatever you're trying to pursue in the future. So thank you all. If you have any questions about this, I will be doing a Q&A at the end of this session, and also my LinkedIn is on the slide there. If you guys want to take a picture, you guys can feel free to text me, message me about any questions you have about college applications, my process with Scholastic, and anything. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Lotus. That was so insightful. And honestly, like every time you were saying something, I was like, yes, that's so true. Honestly, as a teacher at Calcolor, we really do try to support you guys with building your concepts. The skills that you're going to be gaining from this entire process is not just for Scholastic, it's for any kind of competitions, for any kind of applications, for any kind of anytime you really want to put yourself out there, being able to critically think, creatively think, um, and realize an idea and make it into a vision, it takes a really specific type of skill. So I really appreciate you talking and sharing your ideas and your advice with us. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to be joined by our next speaker, which is Teresa.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So my name is Teresa. I'm a sophomore at the Harker School in San Jose, and I've been at Calcolor since I was 8. I was one of the first classes in 2017 when the Mountain View site opened, and I've been at that site ever since. So the photo on the right is me posing under my self-portrait after the first class. And I was in foundation at the time, so after I graduated from there, I went to advancement. And when COVID hit, I took digital painting classes with Miss Michelle. Um, After COVID, we went back on campus, and I took skiing style, so I stuck with him until now. So I also took portfolio development with Mr. Sean, and right now I'm in portfolio. So this is my artwork. It won a national gold medal for the 2024 Scholastic competition. The work title is Memory in Motion, and the materials I used were graphite. Okay, this was the photo on the right was my reference photo that I used to draw the painting, the drawing, and the photo on the left was my Pinterest board. So I found some images of disassembled like telephones, clocks, and books. And these were supposed to represent the passing of memory and time and stories and knowledge. And these were like things that my grandpa gave to me. This photo that I took of him was on his 80th birthday, so that was like kind of my inspiration to explore these ideas of time and memory. So these are three photos that I took during my process and like how the um, process looked like over the years. So it took me almost 2 years to draw this. I started it in January of 2023. Originally, it was basically like a portrait practice because I wanted to improve my technique. So the first photo was me just copying this reference photo onto this drawing. And after I finished it, I kind of stopped working on it for a few months until winter of 2023, where Mr. Sean suggested that I go through the drawings that I finished and like see if any of them could be developed further for the competition. And he saw the potential for this drawing and suggested that maybe I could add a background to it. So that's like where I remembered that I took that photo commemorating my grandpa's 80th birthday. And so I added this telephone and this clock. At that time, it was around early December, and so the submission deadline was upcoming. So I just submitted it in 2023. It didn't do very well, but that was okay because in 2024, I continued to work on it to make it look like how it is now. Mr. Sean was really encouraging and pushing me to not give up. He helped me find a lot of reference photos and also helped me in developing my technique. So this is a comparison between how it looked like in 2023 when I submitted it for the competition and in 2024. It only won a regional silver in 2023 because the background is a little bit plain and the elements that I added kind of look like they're like randomly scattered. Whereas in 2024, the elements are more strategically placed. Sean helped me with that a lot by making it look like they were flowing together and more connected. And I also added more things. And one point was that this took me almost 2 years, and throughout the process, I was close to giving up, like very often, because I felt like it was constantly just sitting in my portfolio, and I was a little bit sick of looking at it all the time. But my teacher was very encouraging and helped me get this done. So some things that I learned was that process takes patience, especially for this piece. It took me the longest that any other piece has taken me. And I learned that like you don't have to constantly be working on one piece. If you feel like you're close to giving up, you can start a new piece and work on that for a little bit. And then the other thing that I learned was to not to be afraid to start. So I was scared to work on the background initially because I felt like I didn't have the technique to make it look good. But Mr. Sean was very encouraging in that. And I learned that like you develop the technique as you draw. So it's okay to start with it looking messy. Like for example, the clock that I have here on the left side did not look like this in the beginning. It was quite bad. The numbers are all misaligned. But I fixed it later after I added more details. I knew that I had the skill to make it look better. And another piece of advice that I would give is to consider the title because it's the only piece of written information that you can convey. And especially for drawing where there's no other text, it becomes especially important. So this is another piece that I submitted in 2023 where I won a national gold medal, and it's a comic. So in the comic, I have 4 words and they're like sounds. So really it's like a comic without any words. And I feel like that makes the title even more important, which is why I thought about it for a while. And I think this title conformity helps the comic because it's one word, so it kind of arouses your curiosity about like what could this comic be about, but it also kind of tells you the topic. So this is what I'm working on now. The drawing on the left is a graphite and collage drawing where my grandpa is featured again. And I'm exploring more mediums because in the past I would work only with graphite and I would like draw digitally, but it wasn't very diverse. And then the drawing on the right is it's actually not a drawing. They're clay tiles that I painted, and on each tile is an endangered endemic California plant species. And so I'm working more with like 3D and mixed media materials now. Thank you for listening, and I'd like to thank Calcolor and my teachers for supporting me through this journey because it really wouldn't have been possible without them.
Thank you so much, Teresa. That was like a really encouraging and inspiring story, honestly. I do have like even myself a lot of students who like submitted pieces and then they were like, "Oh, it didn't win. That means my art's not good." And honestly, that's like a really important lesson to learn is just because you don't win, it doesn't mean that your art's not good. It just means that you might need to put a little bit more work in, and that's okay. And it can actually pay off, right? It's a process. Learning is a process, and the process is sometimes difficult. If everything came too easily, then the struggles wouldn't be worth the win. So, yeah, I thought that was a really wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing that. Alrighty, we're gonna go back into the slides right here. So we're the next section for our presentation is going to be like how CalColor helps our students, what we do as teachers to support you guys from our perspective. What does it look like? Our first speaker on this is going to be Mr. Alvin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Alvin, and I'm very happy to be here tonight to share a few real student story and experience behind their growth. Before we dive into the stories, I'd like to share with a quick overview for our students' Scholastic Awards results in recent year. This will give you a clear picture of where our students stand and the progress they have made. Calcolor has been helping Bay Area students prepare for Scholastic Awards since 2018. With our teen and digital program launched in 2020, our system grows stronger, and by 2024, we become the top performing program across all 7 Bay Area county. Last year alone, our students submit over 850 entries and earned 278 regional awards and the national medals. Behind this number are students with a very different journey. Some are new to art, some are lacking confidence, some busy with academics, but each of them made real progress and achieved success. Today, Michelle and I will share 4 students' story to show how teachers guide each student through personalized coaching and creative problem solving. Next slide, please. Okay, so this piece was created by Zoe for her very first Scholastic submission. She had just reached the minimum age required to enter the competition, which made this piece even more meaningful. It's titled "The Life Goes On," and the idea behind it is very personal. The the collage in the background shows peace she has been, reflecting the moments and the memory that helped shape who she is. The colorful portrait in the front shows how she carried those expressions with her as she grows. With this work, Zoe received a regional silver key that year. Let's take a look at Zoe's story and the inspiration behind this piece. Next slide, please. Okay, so when Zoe first come to us, she had only been at a Calcolor for about half a year. At that time, her fundamental drawing skill were still developing. She had difficult with proportion, shading, and creating depths. So honestly, competing in Scholastic with traditional realistic portrait would have been very difficult. That's why we spending her project, I focused on more strategy rather than the technique. We're using strong color contrast to shift attention away from her weak area in realism and instead highlight her strengths in color sensitivity and bold expression. We also introduced a collage background, which removed the pressure of drafting complicated environments. This allowed her to create without a limitation, and give the artwork richer narrative and visual impact. For the results, Zoe became one of the youngest winners that year, earning a regional silver key with this her first ever Scholastic submission. Zoe's story shows that even when students feel limited by skill, the right art strategy can help them create work that stand out to the judges. And now let's take a look at another student story with a very different situation. Okay, so this piece was created by Annie when she was 17. It's titled My Childhood Friend, and the idea behind it means a lot to her. The bicycle in the art represents the one she grew up with. It carries memories of learning, falling, trying again, and slowly growing up. Her using of layered sketch and precise detail reflects how these moments stay with her over the year. With this piece, Annie received an regional gold and a national silver medal, one of the highest honor in Scholastic. Let's take a look at Annie's story and the meaning behind this work. Okay, so when Annie worked on this piece, she was already a strong technique student. Her drawing fundamental skill was very solid, especially in shape, structure, and shading. But her biggest challenge was time. She was overloaded with homework, schoolwork, and had only a very short period to create a scholastic level piece. So rather than push her towards a large, detailed composition, I designed her project around the efficiency and the strengths. First, we chose to zoom in on a closed-up section on her bike, an object that carry deep older moments from her childhood. A zoomed-in composition meant she could focus all her effort on the part she was strongest at, like clean line, shape detail, and accurate form. At the same time, it removed the pressure of complete a full and a complex scene. Second, we simplified the background by using structured shapes inspired by modernism design. This saved a tremendous time while she gave this piece strong visual impact and a polished artistic feeling. Annie complete this piece just 1 week, but the result was incredibly powerful. She won the national silver, one of the highest honor in the competition. Annie's story tell me that when time is limited, a small composition and a thoughtful approach can be just as important as skill. That's what I want to share today. And now I will turn it over to Michelle, and she will share the next two stories.
All right, thank you so much, Alvin. Michelle has also a couple case studies that she would like to share with you guys about her digital students. All right, take it away.
Hi, this is Miss Michelle. Thank you guys for coming in. And then I would like to share two students' artwork and then some experience they had for Scholastic. So this one is done by Casey, and then she also won this piece. She won the gold medals, and then move on to the next piece. Okay, so Casey actually had a long history with digital art. So starting all the way back to digital level 2, which is our 10 to 12 years old program. So from the beginning, she showed a strong passion of art and also developed like very, very excellent technical skills. So which is the first one you can see over there. She actually already have like very strong fundamental skills. But when she started preparing her Scholastic competitions, Casey realized that many of her existing pieces need a little bit more stronger narrative elements. So she decided to create a new piece inspired by her own experience. So something more personal and also social relevant. She chose to explore the ideas of being a wage slave, trading time for money. So Casey experimented with some different ways to tell stories and eventually came up with a striking concept. Her head trapped inside the hourglass, the sand slowly dripping and turned into cash. She intentionally using these small denominations to represent the diminished value of time and focus on the panic expressions. So I can see from the piece on the right hand side and conflict strays and then also pressures of the thing. So together with her teacher, which is Mr. Joseph Casey, refined and polished the idea, adding thoughtful lightings and visual effects of strengthening the story's impact. So the final pieces was beautifully executed, professional, emotional, and also very deeply meaningful. And through this process, and Cassie became much more confident in her work, and also her efforts were rewarded with the national gold medals at Scholastic. Yeah, next one. So this is done by a student. Her name is Shreya. So Shreya has been a long time student at Calcolor as well, but it's a little bit slightly different story. So from the very beginning, she showed a strong technical fundamentals, but often struggled with the creative confidence. So let's take a look at the next slides. So she held herself like, with a very, very high standard and constantly felt like her art wasn't good enough. I know I would know like, so many students actually feel like they are lacking of confidence, feel like they are not qualified for submitting anything done by themselves. But this is also another case I want to talk about it, right? So a true case of imposter syndrome. So actually lots of students actually, they've been doing so many practice and do so many artworks, but just lacking of a little bit more confidence. So for this one, for Shreya, with her teacher's help, Shreya gradually began to gain confidence in her work. So her teacher encouraged her to see the strengths in each piece, to recognize her artistic growth, and to trust her own creative voice. So while her artwork hadn't won in the previous year, and Shreya was hesitant to submit it again. So this is also kind of like, the first time they didn't win anything, so they feel like they have to give up. But through the teacher's encouragement, then they try it one more time and then modify it, edit it a little bit more. So with continued guidance and reassurance, she decided to take another chance. And that decision truly paid off. So, and then at first, she also felt like one of her new ideas was not too formal and feel like a little bit too silly, right? Sometimes we have so many brilliant ideas that we feel like, oh, this is going to be working okay with the competition, right? But with more encouragement, she began to see the strong narrative and contemporary message behind it. And that piece ended up winning a gold key. In another case, she worried that an idea felt too cliche and wouldn't fit in with the scholastic style, which is the one on the right-hand side, but was encouraged to embrace her cultural background and express it authentically. So that piece also went on to win a gold key as well. So through this process and with her teacher's steady support, Shreya's confidence grew immensely. So eventually, all three of her pieces earned the original gold kit, and she even used them to achieve a score of 5 on her AP art exam. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Yeah, that's honestly a very common theme where students do feel really like imposter syndrome, right? And I think everyone has maybe experienced imposter syndrome at some point in their life in their artistic journey. Like we see so many things on social media. We see so many beautiful works that win. Like when we scroll through the gallery of Scholastic winners, like that is so good. There's no way they're gonna pick mine. There's no way I'm gonna win. I feel a lot of my students have definitely voiced that feeling to me. But honestly, like you never know, right? You guys have so much skill and you guys have a really interesting voice. So I think you got to do it like Lotus said, right? Just like you get in what you put in when you get out, right? You just got to do your best. If that's what you want to do, if you really want to win, then you got to just like put the time in and really work at it and you will get it. And if you don't get it the first year, that's okay. Just keep trying, you know? We can always keep trying. That's all we can do and just keep progressing, keep getting better and grow. So, yeah, that was really wonderful. Thank you so much, Michelle. We're actually going to go into the next section, which is going to be an FAQ. These are just like the most common questions that we get. And so hopefully we can clear some of that with you guys. Alrighty, let me open up this link. So one of the most common questions that we get is how how well recognized are the Scholastic Awards within the academic and artistic communities? So they're very, very well recognized. These awards date back to 1923 and tend to attract over 10,000 K participants each year. Artists such as Andy Warhol, Sylvia Plath, and Amanda Gorman were all participants in their youth. Like that's crazy. Like some of, the gold winners, you guys are amongst like true famous people like Andy Warhol. That's super cool. So awards themselves are very highly regarded across the academic and artistic communities. Having said that, participating or winning any level of recognition will not guarantee an admission to any school. That's actually really important. So it is definitely a boost, right? It will make your application more attractive, but at the end of the day, each college is going to make what decision they need to, right? The next most common question is, how might receiving awards from the competition impact students' future college or scholarship applications? So in general, most awards and recognitions you have under your belt, the more likely it is to gain attention from our institutions. But not every college or admissions officer will weigh these awards equally, especially if they're not directly tied to a student's intended major. So if you're going to be like a bio major or something like that, it it might like help boost, but we don't know if it's going to be the deciding reason. So, which types of themes do judges generally value more? These addressing current events or those focused on personal exploration? This is actually very common. I get this a lot from my students. Um, but anything that speaks to your personal experience that reflects your personal voice. Because if you talk about a subject you don't know anything about, that piece is going to be much weaker than a subject that you're more passionate about. So I think you should just go with what you want to say, right? That's what's going to be the most biggest reflection of who you are. And that's really what they want to see. They want to see who you are. They want to see your own personal voice. So when reviewing submitted works, do judges balance the importance of technical skill with conceptual ideas, which tend to carry more weight in the evaluation process? Having a very strong concept and original perspective tends to be valued over technical skill. I think Mr. Alvin kind of went over that with his case study that he wanted to show with you guys, where he had that student who maybe was still working on her technical skill, but she had a really strong concept. She had a really strong creative vision. And so that obviously is going to be really important to them. Yeah, so we have a couple more questions that we want to go over with you guys. And if you guys have questions, we're actually going to open up this time for you guys to type it in to the chat as well. And then we can read some questions out loud. We have Mr. Alvin and Miss Michelle, and also Lotus and Teresa here if you guys are feel free to answer questions. Okay, so let's see. Let's open up the chat. All right, so one of the questions says, can you submit more than one piece in a category, like two pieces in the drawing category? This is a great question. The answer is yes, you can. And honestly, the more you submit, the better. The more, the merrier. So the more pieces you submit, the higher probability that you have of winning an award. And then we're going to answer a couple more questions and then we can get into the next section. We'll be doing a Q&A also at the end as well, so that can help too. Okay. Can the same piece be submitted to more than one category, i.e. the same piece in a drawing and a sketchbook? Oh, I actually don't know this. Alvin or Michelle, do you want to chime in for this one? Can you double submit the same piece into
Yeah.
multiple categories?
I think this is a great question. So on the Scholastic website, they have one tab called the catalogs. So you can check they have very detailed description for example, maybe this question we're asking if there's a pencil drawing, should you submit it, maybe pencil drawing with some collage, should you submit to mixed media or should you submit to the drawing, right? So and they have very specific define for what kind of like what kind of thing should in mixed media. For example, as I know, is a mixed media is more like something installation art. So you will require taking the picture from like 4 different angles. So yeah, so basically your piece will be looks like it's 3D-ish. So if you're just doing a drawing, has to be collage, mainly just flat and a color pencil or graphite, then I will not recommend you to submit into the mixed media. Yeah, same as painting. If you have your art is a combine some charcoal with maybe watercolor or color pencil watercolor, then you'll see which part is more majority, like a which is like a so you spend more time on it, right? And you shouldn't submit it to different catalogs. Yeah, and I do have a like a story from my own student. Is one time the student submitted one piece like 1 year they submitted one piece to I think to the mixed media or something, and that was a painting. She got basically nothing. Yeah, not even an honorable mention. And the next year, when I helped the student to prepare the Scholastic, I still remember that piece was really strong from technique, composition, and the meaning, and asked the student to put in the kind of right catalogs, which is painting, and I still got a national award and also a regional silver or something. So that's why when you submit the Scholastic, I would strongly recommend to go to the like a catalog page, and I can put that link in the chat so everyone can click and get more very detailed information. Yeah, I'll put the link there later.
Thank you, Alvin, for that. Yeah. Yeah, so I would definitely look at the different categories and see which one it actually is. Like if you have an art that's actually a drawing, probably stick to just drawing, but there are specific rules. So Mr. Alvin's going to put that link into the chat for you guys. All right, the next question is, are these submitted pieces done during special workshops, specific classes, or any Calcolor classes? This is a great question. So we have PDP level classes. This includes sketchbook, drawing, and painting. And then within these classes, we do have projects that help students build pieces for Scholastic. We encourage students to submit at least 2 or more pieces from these classes, and we will help build like references and thumbnailing as part of the process. Calcolor also does PD, which is a portfolio development class, and they definitely will be building pieces that's part of their portfolio that they can also use for Scholastic. As far as workshops go, I don't think we really do too many workshops based off of Scholastic, but we definitely have classes that we cover for this project. All right, the next one is, how do you add descriptions to art entries? I remember doing it last year, but I forgot how it works. So during the submission process, when you actually submit a piece, it's going to ask you a ton of information, like your title, who your teacher was, the school you went to, and it will also give you like a description box, like during the submission process. If you are a student at an art studio, but you completed work completely independently at home, can you submit it? So, Alvin or Michelle, if you want to answer this as well.
Christy, sorry, can you repeat the question? Because I'm trying to find us on link to put in the chat. What's the question again?
Yeah, so let's say they belong to an art school, right? Like Calcolor, for example, but they're also completed artwork at home. Can they also submit to Scholastic and then I guess because we usually tell our students to add the school and then add us as teachers. So then how would that work too if they're going to be submitting independent pieces that could be completed at home?
I think they can choose, right? So when you submit a piece, right? So each submission, they will ask you who is your educator and what is your school. So by that time, you can, for example, it's a homeschooled or you did it on your own. You didn't get any advice from the teacher. Then so yeah, you can just unclick those options. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can still submit pieces that you guys are doing at home. If you guys have help from teachers, it's nice to have that notate that support. But if you guys did not, then definitely unclick it. I think that's what Alvin is saying. All righty, let's see. Sorry, scrolling through some of these questions. How do you add descriptions? Oh, I think we just went over that one. Okay. What are the main things that our Scholastic is looking for? Also, is there a max limit to the amount of pieces you can submit? So Michelle also kind of answered this, but I think it's a good one that other people might want to know the answer to. So maybe Michelle, you can like kind of touch upon that.
Yeah. You mean the one with the submission? Or the
Mhm. Yeah, like is there a max number that you can submit for Scholastic?
so far actually no limited, but just double check with the region. So but but so far like there's no maximum of how many hours you can submit for now.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I will strongly recommend try to submit all the finished piece and also try to base on like a teacher's suggestions. Because sometimes student might think the piece they don't like it. Yeah. And there's so many cases happen is like students submit a piece they don't like it and eventually then they got some like a gold key or even national awards. Yeah. So yeah, so that's I think is some tips I want to share is try to submit all the pieces complete, right, and with some personal voice. Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, there's no max stuff and definitely submit pieces with like, yeah, that means something to you. So you can like prioritize which one has the most, concept or personal voice. Um, uh, each submission is $10 though. I think you have to pay for each submission. So though there is no max limit, you might want to prioritize just based off of the price. Okay. The next question is, when you submit your art, do you have to submit a small writing with it to describe your piece? I don't think you have to, but I think it's better if you do.
So
So you don't have to, but I think you might want to if you, especially if you have a more conceptual piece, like you like one of, Teresa was saying, like you don't get a lot of chance to like write something. So context clues in your piece are really important. And if context clues might be, misjudged, like what does your piece mean? What is it trying to say? It's really nice to have that description there to really like clarify what you're going for. It will help the judges and like, uh,
the
next question. Oh, sorry, Alvin, please add.
so the artist statement may not be most critical fact at the regional level. So it becomes much more meaningful during the national judge stage. But national are the selected work from the pool of regional gold. So yeah, so that's something I want to share.
Yes, and one of the questions here is, can AI be used to edit, clarify, or improve the wording or clarity of your artist statement, or does it have to be 100% the student's words? So I think AI, they're mostly concerned about AI being used as art, as a submission. Um, but just like using it to help you clarify your description, I think that's fine. But like if you're only just using it to help you like write the description, but honestly, you can have it help you, but I think you should really try putting your own voice into it so they can see like how you would say it, how you wouldn't want to write it. And really putting yourself into your work is what really is going to differentiate you from like the other people, right? Because you are a unique person, everybody has such a unique way of speaking or describing something. I think it will kind of definitely change the way that it is perceived. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I put a link in the chat is all about the AI policy. They have very detailed definition and also give a lot gives a lot of scenarios, some answer to different scenarios. So feel free to take a look. It's pretty long. I tried to like do a screenshot or something, but there's too much information there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, next question says, when saying, oh, if multiple teachers helped you guys on a project, how do you like notate that? Alvin and Michelle, do you guys know if like multiple teachers assisted on a project, how do we kind of add multiple teachers?
Yeah. Unfortunately, after they updated the new system, uh, the function like we put a multiple teacher was not available anymore. But thing is right here, you can put any teacher assist you, and when the competition results are released, where internal will be work on that thing. Yeah,
Mm.
that's the answer.
Okay, and then it says during the drawing process, concept phase, how do we make our artwork stand out, not be cliche or basic? This is a great question. Yeah, because I feel like, there are some hot topics that are definitely overly done. And sometimes when concepts are overly done, it can become easily cliche. So how can we separate ourselves from um, the other people that are also hitting those same topics? Yeah, Alvin or Michelle, do you have any input on this one?
I think just, you know, I think the brainstorming section will be really important, like a thumbnails, because each like our final project in Calcolor, we always ask, I was guide the student to do those like mind map, brainstorming, and guide them how to taking pictures, like how you set up lights. Yeah, so be personal, like a personal voice. Anything from, something unique, your personal voice, and that's yeah, you don't need to worry about too much like a cliche. Just more focus on what's your idea. Yeah.
I think you can also like look at how other artists, like if you go on Pinterest or something, or even ArtStation or DeviantArt, you can look up how other artists are handling or visually describing this topic, and see how they handle it and why they choose the formal decisions that they are in their artwork. And then you can either gain inspiration from that, take from that. If you see something is overdone, like if you're doing water pollution and you see everybody is doing a plastic water bottle and you want to stand out, maybe don't do a plastic water bottle. You can like look at like what other artists are doing, what's the common denominator. And if you want to set yourself apart, you can like do something outside of that. You want to, like they said, innovative thinking, right? Creative thinking. So we want to try to like stand out a little bit. But I think the research is going to be the most important part of that. And like Mr. Alvin is saying, like the brainstorming part before you hit the artwork is going to be really important, like thumbnailing it, really getting compositions and really focusing on just like how the overall flow is. But I hope that kind of answers your question. Okay. We're going to answer just a couple more and then we'll move on into the next section, okay? The next one is uh, do you know when an artwork is too much and the feelings are not being demonstrated too clearly? Um, this is a difficult question to answer, I think, because when you say too much, it could mean many things. But if you mean like the artwork gets too busy or too saturated and like there's way too many ideas going in, and now we've lost focus of what we want to say, um, then I think it's not clear in the message. So I think having a really clear message of your voice is going to make it like the artwork stronger. So having so when you're doing the thumbnailing stage, when you're like doing the concept building stage is really making sure that each decision you make in the composition and the artwork itself, all the formal elements you're doing to create this piece, they all are backed up by the concept. The concept should be like the main thing driving each decision you make in your artwork. And so that way your feelings won't be unclear. Like your vision will be very clear. Yeah, and also consult with your teacher. I'm sure they have like they can really help you like put that focus into your work, like what the meaning is. Yeah, because it can be hard. Definitely. Alrighty, guys. Um, I think this is good for now because we are running low on time. So I think we're going to move into the next section. So this last section right here is just going to be kind of an introduction on CCA and Calcolor. So I'm going to have Mr. Alvin talk a little bit more on this part.
Oh, maybe we can skip CCA.
The CCA, yeah, sorry. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm honored to take a moment to introduce Calcolor and what we do. Calcolor is currently the largest art school in the Bay Area. We have over 4,500 students and 6 campus located in Cupertino, Mountain View, San Jose, Fremont, Newark, and Belmont. And we are full accredited by WASC, and we are also official College Board AP art provider. This recognition reflects the quality of our teaching, the consistency of our curriculum, the strength of our school-wide system. Our student community is very diverse, range from age 4 all the way to 18. So whether children is exploring art for fun or prepare for college admission, Calculus provides a clear path for every stages. So stages. Can you go next slide? Thank you. Yeah, and this is our calculator learning pathway. And for age 4 to 12, our class such as Exploration Foundation, Advancement, Digital Level 1, Level 2 is more focused on the building interest and the creativity. And after age 12, student transaction into more specific technique training in such area as drawing, painting, sketchbook, and digital painting. Once they have essential technique, they will move to portfolio program in high school for competitions, AP art, and college application. Our core teaching philosophy is wholehearted education. Calculus place students at the center and support their growth as both artists and individuals. In a way, they align with their own goals. Yeah, that's a quick overview for Calculus, and I hand it back to Christy.
Yeah, thank you so much. And these are just like some fast QR links. So you guys can, if you're interested in following us on any of our platforms, or if you're interested in following California College of Arts, we also wanted to link them here as well. But we really wanted to give a big shout out to everybody who came to join us today. And we also want to let you guys know once again that unfortunately, because Azul was not able to join us, we will be looking at the registration list from this event because everybody had to pre-register. So we will be looking at that list. We'll have her do a pre-recording with all the information that she really wanted to share with you guys so that you guys don't have to miss out on that because that's definitely really important information we want to make sure we're supporting you guys with. So we'll be reaching back out with you guys so you can definitely watch out for a email that's going to be sent to all of you guys. But if you guys have any last questions before we end, we were going to probably end in just like a couple more minutes. I saw that there was a few more questions in the chat, so we can quickly answer those before we end today's session.
And
But
also,
the last one, actually, there's only a couple. So I just wanted to make kind of answer these just really quickly. Um, Someone actually asked a really good one. Can you use copyrighted images in collages? Someone just asked that, and I think that's a really good one because I think a lot of my students also like are wondering about this type of thing. But when you guys use copyrighted images, it does technically count as plagiarism, especially if it's like um so what we usually do like for collages, if you go on like Google Images or you want to collage certain images, you can actually go onto the tools and then in tools there's usage rights, and then within usage rights you're going to click on Creative Commons license. All the images that are under Creative Commons license are actually able for you guys to use, so that should be okay. Yeah, and you can also consult with your teachers in class and they can kind of guide you further on that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that was the last question that I really wanted to answer because that was kind of a hot topic that has been coming up. But thank you guys so much once again for joining us today. We really loved seeing all your faces, and we hope to see you guys during the next week and class before our Thanksgiving break. Alrighty, thank you guys so much. Take care.
thank you. Yeah, and also today's video will be available on our Calculus YouTube channel soon.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Christy. Thank you.
All these awesome and sweet emojis reactions. Thanks, guys.
Okay, maybe we can end the webinar, Christy. Thank you.